They just came out, a new report came out from Germany. They see solar panel to pick up in the second half of the year because of, the solar panel price drop cut in half. So there's more demand coming, AI and all the other things. If the German prediction is right, the deficit this year will be 400. So every day pass, there will be 1 million ounces of silver just disappear every day.
Welcome back. Today I'm joined with Chen Lin, author of What is Chen Buying? Chen also manages a family fund. Chen, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Jeremy. Glad to be here.
So you've been actually doing a lot of interviews lately and talking about the price of silver. We're going to get into that, but I'm actually really interested in starting by going back in time and finding a little bit about how you got into this space. You started writing in 2009 after navigating the 2008 financial crisis. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that experience, trading and investing during 2008, the lessons learned, what was the postmortem, what came out of all that?
Yeah, it was 2008 was a very, very unique and interesting year. Okay, and I look back, there's something I probably missed was the magnitude of Lehman Brothers collapse to the worldwide financial system. And I would say that the Fed and the EU, whatever, will never ever allow that to happen again. Okay, so they will patch it or do whatever again. So they won't, I mean, at least they will try their best, won't have a Lehman again. So if you remember, the first half of the 2008 was a bull market for commodity. Actually, I did extremely well. I remember I have some stock up a few 100% in the first few months. I was very happy. By summer, I saw the sky falling. So I basically say, okay, I'm not going to be out of every junior because I don't see any future for junior. So I got out of every junior by summer. And I hold some bigger cap with decent cash flow, and I also hold a lot of cash. I was shorting financials, which is good when it actually saved me. So by the December, I feel bottom. I feel bottom because I was in one of the mining company that was failed by a bridge loan. I forgot 50 cents. I forgot the name, but yeah, it was a big one in Alaska. They went to 50 cents because of the bridge loan, and then when people realized the company will not go under, it rebounded to a few dollars. So that actually was a turning point early December, and I was continuing investing in gold mining company, very depressed gold mining company, yeah. And a very good success through 2008. So basically, I'm looking at this and this and this. So actually, by the end of 2008, I'm about break even. So that's what happened to my 2008. And my good friend and partner, Jay Taylor, looked at it and he saw my statements on my track record and said, gosh, Chen, you should start writing a newsletter. And I'm just too busy. So, okay, I'll help you get started. Jay is a great person, great partner, and he's a man of his word. So he helped me get started in 2009. And I have a great 2009, great 2010, great 2011, 2012, I see coming. I see a wave coming, tidal wave. So actually 2012, I get out of most of the gold and silver mining company, which was really lucky. So sometimes you need a little bit of luck because I just feel like it couldn't move higher anymore. It could reverse could happen. So.
And so was it around that time, I think I read that you were switching into, you're really calling early on fracking and ethanol and corn. That was around that period when you were changing your
Right,
investment
more to the
philosophy?
energy, more to the cash flowing company. At that time, fracking was starting, and I took away. I rolled away, but doing very well until the oil price collapsed. I think that back to 2012, no, not 2012, 2015 or something, the oil price suddenly collapsed. Until that, I was doing very well. So.
Yeah. So, obviously some turbulent years there. What were some of the big lessons and takeaways from that point and era in your career in terms of understanding commodities, how to engage with them from an investment and how to engage with them from an investment perspective?
Yeah, my lesson I learned all this is you can only own commodity juniors in the bull market. That's what my biggest lesson, because there are some stock I feel is very safe, and still in the bear market, it go down. Everything goes down. So no matter how safe you feel it is, it still goes down.
Yeah,
Even the stock trading at cash, it still goes down because they spend money. So
yeah,
it's
that's
very,
right.
very tough. Yeah.
That's right. And so that was something you learned. Have you then, in the last 10 years, seen your investment philosophy shift again, or are you still kind of holding to some of those early principles you learned back in that era?
Well, I kept learning. I kept learning, and the past few years, I've been more focused on company with good balance sheet. So they tend to do okay. They tend to well, and they looking for unique opportunity that some kind of mining stock can go down very, very hard for reason maybe justified, maybe not justified. So that there may be some opportunities in doing that. And also, I also have different sectors. I have biotech. I also have energy. I have so I invest across the sectors. Past few years, energy actually doing very well. So allow me to take some profit from certain companies. So I can redeploy in mining and biotech. And biotech did very well last year, and this year also very good. So I have always have capital to deploy.
That's good. Keep a lot
That's
of
very
cash.
important. Multiple sector is very, very important to me because it just allow you to put buy when nobody else buy because I made money, so much money elsewhere.
Absolutely. And you've become very, very bullish on silver, making some price predictions. But I guess currently, what is are you starting to weight more heavily towards the commodities or more specifically the juniors right now?
I had tried to put lean towards junior. So far this year was not successful. I can tell you
Mm,
it. Some junior move, but when they go up and then go down very quickly. In the just recent little correction, junior actually went down much faster.
yep.
I talking to a lot of fund managers. I was told a lot of fund has no inflow. The fund has junior base focused on fund, and some even have a outflow because they finally have a good few months, and then investors say, "I lost so much money, it's time to pull the rug out." So actually, there's very little money inflow to the junior side. That's a problem right now. And then there is inflow in the ETF in the big miner. So you see the big miners actually performing relatively well. The juniors actually, the most inflow is from Eric Sprout, put it this way. Just
You're
one.
not, yeah, you're not wrong. There's a,
So you want to just ride with him. I think that Kreska has some seems has some info, but they have some tough time too. So yeah, I'm just talking. We are in this industry, small world that we said, and I know a lot of people, and this it's still very tough. It's still very tough right out there.
yeah, absolutely. And there has been some movement in, well, obviously in the uh, the general commodity, maybe not the underlying assets and the juniors. And you've really spoken about China being a driver of some of that, specifically gold and silver price. You've referenced the cash for clunker program a little bit. China's rebuying old appliances. Can you just kind of walk us through that a little bit, what that means for the commodity sector, how that all relates?
Yeah, China basically is trying to buy back your used car, old car, and clunkers, and older appliance, and then hope to stimulate new demand. I say that because I want to tell so people can relate it to 2009. So basically, right now China is like 2009 situation, negative interest rate, cash for clunker. So you can imagine people there in China, they have negative interest rate, going down the housing market. They cannot exchange money outside to US dollar to enjoy the 5%. No, they cannot get it. So one of the way to diversify is gold and silver.
That's right. And so they, I've been to China twice, and I think the biggest thing, and been to many different parts of the world, and I think oftentimes philosophy of culture can be misunderstood. So Westerners will often use China as a big part of the narrative when explaining global supply and demand for a variety of different things. What do you think Western investors maybe don't fully understand about the Chinese investment philosophy and maybe the culture around investing as a whole.
Right. It's just very, I feel like the gap getting wider and wider. A lot of people look at China, either they say China going to collapse or they just say China going to overrun United States. I don't think, I think we will be the state of fierce competition, put it this way, for decades to come. Seriously, I think, unless there's nuclear war breaks. I hope not. I hope not. Okay,
Hmm.
will be like this, and we'll be have a lot of competitions back and forth, and China win some, United States win some.
Yeah.
The thing is the misunderstood the Chinese culture. People, because I mean, look at it, China has many different faces. You look at central government, they're fine. They have a lot of forex, and then central bank is buying gold. You look at the Chinese local government, they're bankrupt. And in U.S. term, they're bankrupt 100 times already because they heavily leverage in the housing market. Their income is from selling the land for the housing market. It's not sustainable. It's actually stopped. And then they have such a big ambitious goal. Actually, part of the China's overcapacity from local government, not the central government. Because those local government, when they want to create promotion, they need to look at how much GDP they contribute, all these things. It's not their money, so they pushing, they invest, they get the local capacity up, automobile, solar panel, whatsoever, everything. Overcapacity, a lot to do with the local, and then they're bankrupt. They're more than bankrupt.
Wow.
And then if you look at that, it's the China bankrupt. No, it's not. But the Chinese consumer actually on the other side had very, very high saving rate. I was talking to my good friend Tavi Costa in Prescott. He said, China M2 is very high. I said, yeah, those are the bank saving. People money put in the bank.
Hmm.
And so there's a lot of money from Chinese savers. It's a culture thing. Actually, a lot of Chinese people don't understand. American has people live from paycheck to paycheck. They don't not understand because nobody live paycheck to paycheck. Even the factory workers have, thousands of dollars in their bank account. So it's a saving culture. So those are the questions. And then those money start to going towards gold and silver a little bit, only a little bit. Trust me, if I say if they put a 1% into silver, we over $100 right now. So they're not. They just start to testing that, oh, I'm losing money in my bank account, negative interest rate, deflation, and then my housing price going down. Maybe I put a little bit in the gold and silver. Wow, I made money, right? Because Chinese currency depreciates. So actually, even gold and silver don't pay interest. Actually, they hold on very well. So maybe I put a little bit more. So it's just in that stage, just getting started.
Still early. And
Mm.
I think for me, I think that's the biggest difference I notice is Eastern philosophy tends to be more about long-term planning. Western philosophy seems to be more about next quarter, and it's thinking in quarters versus dynasties. And like you're saying, the saving rates are very different comparative to everybody in North America is just utilizing debt nonstop. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess from the federal government perspective, you said so provincially, the provinces and regional governments bankrupt. Uh, the federal government of China actually doing quite well. What do you think the federal government of China is doing better than maybe the United States or Western countries in terms of just any of their economic strategies?
I don't think they are doing better in the strategy, but for maybe they have a little bit more long-term thinking. But China enjoying huge trade surplus, right? And even toward United States, the trade is dropping, but China to Vietnam is booming, right? China sell all the parts in Vietnam and assemble in Vietnam. Vietnam has a manufacture boom because of a trade war, but Vietnam, in order to manufacture, they missing so many parts. Not just parts, they don't have electricity, don't have enough. That's another thing I want to point out. Even we want the manufacture back to United States, we don't have enough power. Vietnam is running out of power because they just couldn't handle it. And then China is selling the power. The China is selling power to Vietnam at very high price. Vietnam was complaining, but what else can you do? So, so that what I'm saying. So, yeah, that's the thing. Though that they have a huge surplus in China, Chinese government, so they can handle it. So far, everything they can buy gold. I mean, they stopped buying last month, which was a shocker. But maybe they will resume later. We'll see.
Sorry, Vietnam stopped buying.
No, China,
Oh,
Chinese central. We were talking about Chinese central bank. I'm just saying that China has huge surplus
Mhm.
everybody. That's why the central government is in very decent shape, not very good, decent shape. And
Right.
then they are exporting everywhere, including Vietnam. Right? They have
Yeah.
a so from Vietnam to export to the United States. That's right. And then China is selling everything, including electricity, to Vietnam.
Hmm. And they're making huge investments. I mean, we all know they're making investments all around the world, everywhere from Africa to all out throughout Southeast Asia. So to shift gears a little bit into, I guess, silver, which has been the, your the thing you've been the most excited about, I think. There's a few things to talk about here. One is the demand increase. You specifically talked about demand increase through solar, again related to energy. And then we're getting into this deficit. So can you kind of walk us through a little bit of how this silver is kind of turning more from a monetary metal into an industrial metal and what's driving that deficit?
Yeah, silver used to be monetary metal, but since 1957, 60s, I mean, basically, all the central bank is sold out their silver. They just they don't want to hold, maybe hold gold, but not silver. So silver actually lost their status for the precious and monetary metal. Even it's in Chinese, silver means money. Okay, it's still culture-wise, people still believe silver is money, but right now the central bank is not. My take, I've been talking about for 2 years, is silver too cheap. Silver price, if silver is $100, people will more recognize to monetary to precious metal. Okay, silver price is too low, and
Mhm.
gold silver ratio is too high. If gold silver ratio stabilize around 10, 15, 10 times gold and 15 used to be historically from east and west, actually, ironically, very similar. Gold and silver ratio is about China was 10 to 1 fixed for thousands of years in the east. And in France, I think England has a little bit different 12, maybe 15, maybe 10 from time to time. So if we can go back to that, give people a stability. Okay, gold, silver, about 10. Then people will more relate silver to precious metal or more related to monetary metal. So my take is industrial demand right now, if we can take off all the free silver or sale, because people, silver have been byproduct, have been dumped into the market. If we can take that out, silver price go back to at least 50. I think 50 is first step. 100 is next. And then we have a chance for silver to go back to become monetary metal.
Right, okay, but it needs to hit that price. And so then I guess walk us through because you've done a fair amount of research on the demand for silver as during this energy transition. It's sort of in some technologies becoming one of the critical elements. What are some of the main drivers there? You've talked about solar. What else is going on with silver?
So I like solar the most because for every metal industry, look at it, we made a lot of money in copper in almost 20 years ago, right? To 2004, 2005, that one the copper goes through. And then there was a boom for nickel. There was a uranium boom. You always need some kind of killer application for the metal. Like take all the metals and then suddenly people realize their estimate is all wrong. People realize their estimates are wrong, and then they chase it. So that's how it happened. So I see what happened to silver will be the same. The most exciting is the solar panel. And then all the people estimate, including silver, our friend Silver Institute have been wrong in the past 2 years. I have all the documentation, a document where they were expecting and what they have. So, but I do compliment our friend and Silver Institute is their correction has been correct so far. So after a year, they will get a real number come out. So for example, this year, 2024, their prediction is 40,000 actual more silver will be used solar panel than last year, 40. And what I see from all the research report is back to a couple months ago, it's about 100 instead of 40, 100. They just came out, a new report came out from Germany this weekend. Okay, they see solar panel to pick up in the second half of the year because of the solar panel price drop cut in half. So there's more demand coming, AI and all the other things. They
Yeah.
see they see solar panel will increase in that 30% to probably 60%. If that's the case, a silver usage will go up 100%, go up to 200 million. So the deficit this year, if the German prediction is right, The deficit this year will be 400 million, 400, and then we're heading to 500 million next year. That's almost a guarantee. So, and then once investor, because investors don't see what I see, that's a problem. What I have been right for the past 2 years. Every time I've been right, I've been hammering Silver Institute, tell them to give an accurate prediction, but they are reluctant. They always drag their feet. And the next year they came out with a correction. Like in April, they came out with a correction. Say last year solar panel was 62%, exceeding their estimate. They didn't say their estimate was 28%, but that's a fact. They will have another correction next year, and then we could look at 400 million deficit this year.
And when you're referencing for the listeners those increases, the 60% increase in solar, we're talking about gigawatts produced. Is that's the metric being measured?
I'm using the basically how much silver used, right?
Okay, I see.
So the gigawatts, we can do that. The German report called for 660 gigawatts solar panel usage. This is production this year. That's their production. And most people before was looking at 500, something like that. So you can see that's a big increase. And then that's a lot of additional silver will be needed. That's add another almost 100 million ounces of silver. Right. On top of I believe it's 300 million ounces. We'll see. Well, time will tell. I think I'm right. I've been right every year. So then we could reach 400. So every day pass, there will be 1 million ounces of silver just disappear every day. When people see that, how can silver not going up? But right now, they only have your listener, have that, my subscriber have it. I mean, I've been hammered this issue for 2 years. People start to listen, but they haven't really get the real message yet.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important understanding when you're investing in commodities, is that there's going to be disruptions in the supply demand, because managing the supply, globally can just be so tricky, especially when you're taking into consideration new technologies coming out. And so finding those sweet spots where the technology is really ramping up, but the supply just hasn't matched is really where we're at.
Exactly.
So
exactly. I just said silver has been byproduct for so long. So, and they just cannot catch up. I mean, have been very, very stable, 800 million ounces. I mean, think about that. And if we have, this year, we could have 400 million ounce deficit. Next year will be much higher. Think about that.
Yeah. I will tell you, I've been a long time believer. My father got me into silver very, very early. I was 13 years old when I bought my first bar of physical. And happy to say we still have some in the collection. So obviously, demand going up, we need to replace ounces being produced. That's where the explorers and the juniors come into play. Are there any companies out there that you're watching that you're very interested in the silver space that you want to talk about?
Well, I have quite a few. I think right now the market only appreciate producer right now. The juniors is if you buy, you have to have the skin to hold it for a certain period. Okay, so even the stock doesn't appreciate, and if it does not appreciate, don't come to me saying, "Chen, your stocks pick sucks." It's not that way, because there's no new money, very little new money. People haven't recognized that, and junior has to raise money. That's a problem. The stock has been not doing extremely well. So I have a producer, I have a long list of that. I mean, I told my subscriber for a long time, and also on a different interview, I have high class Silvercrest, and that's probably the tool I've been buying today. I've been buying MAG. MAG has been lagging Silvercrest by a wide margin. And MAG is just now they're buying back their share, and they should have enjoyed a lot of free cash flow at the silver price. That's a relatively safe, and if you want to go risky, you go to a First Majestic. That's a very risky one. Yep. So it's a little bit speculative. But there are also juniors. Juniors, if you go to producer appreciate with silver price. Okay, it does. It's a Guanajuato silver is probably the one to go to, because they are primary silver producer. Not many still survive. Most bankrupt already. If you know the name of Kana, I mean, the list go long. All these they're all bankrupt. So there's not a lot of silver producer. And then the exploration, I have started Pasco. It hasn't really appreciated. Stock went up like 60% until one of their large shareholder, actually as a fund, they have to liquidate. So they were selling and then it went down again. So what can I do? So that's always the problem.
That is the risk. That is the risk. I want to touch back. Have you been following Hecla very much recently?
Yes, I've been following that for yeah.
Yeah, can you give
Uh,
us a rundown on your thoughts about where they're at right now?
the key is really Kino Hill. That's a big growth driver. They got that at a pretty good price. Last time I have a chance to do a one-on-one with Phil Baker, he left Hector actually already, and he said he's very optimistic and he's looking to expand the mill. But the problem in Yukon takes a long time to get a permit. So that's the thing because they see a lot more silver. They find so much more silver. That's what I was owning the Alaska before. They have so much silver there, but the mill actually they found that they want to more than double the mill, and they need a permit. That's the thing. Yukon permit can take some time, so they may not immediately get the appreciation. But you see,
Mhm.
there's a silver out there. There's a lot of silver out there.
Speaking about the Yukon permitting, it's interesting because they were so mining friendly 10, 12 years ago. They came down and there was a massive staking rush in the Yukon, and then they sort of got a couple projects into production or extended and then shifted gears a little bit in terms of their friendliness. It's sort of an interesting example of how jurisdictional and regional policy changes can really impact the potential of a company.
Yes, absolutely. So there's a place that's turned better. For example, one of the little island country called New Zealand. Actually, it's a new government came. There used to be a left government, what's in the party, I forgot that, but now they're more pro-business party. They
Mm,
literally want to open up their whole resource sector. And I have one of them, actually, this winner is still going up. It's called OceanaGo because they're based in New Zealand and their cash flow is incredible. They will have incredible cash flow coming. They have a new mine, gold, very, very big discovery. You're looking at a half ounce over 20, 30 meter, those kind of deposit. And right next to their mine. The problem is it's underneath the national park. So, so the permit is quite a lot of people say they may not have get a good permit from prior government, but this government come in, they may be pro-business. You just need a tunnel through, right? You don't need to bring the shot in in national park. You go to the side of national park, maybe do a run or something. So
right,
maybe
going.
if they're open, that's a big discovery. That's a big, big discovery.
Okay, that's a good one to keep an eye out. And then also a great tip on looking at New Zealand as an up and coming jurisdiction. Well, Chen, you've given us a lot. Thank you for the history of your story. A lot of good insights into where the market's at and different factors that are moving it along. So I really appreciate you joining me here today, and I'm looking forward to doing it again sometime soon.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. It's a great pleasure talking to you, and we should do that more often. I'm very, just on summer, I'm very, very excited what we have.
Mm,
One parking thought I gave to the resource investor is that in resource, the bull market tend to be short, and then we have a long bear market or the sideways market. You want to make as much money as possible in the bull market. That's
absolutely.
my that's my has been a winning experience. So I mean, I call $50 silver. I said it could be in June. Doesn't look like, but it could be in July. I mean, those silver can go very very fast. I just don't hate. I hate people to miss one of the greatest bull market there. And then you chase it when it's $50. It's very, very difficult. That will be very, very difficult to chase. And I hope you get on the train and then let's be profitable.
Yes. And remember to save some in that bull market, save some money. I know that was
Exactly, exactly. That's
my
why I put in a different sector. So when the sector goes up a lot, I have some out. I did crazily well. I can move money into mining and then back and forth or energy. So
yeah.
I love this. You have to balance out from them. The safe is very very important. I've seen so many well-respected people. They have on the way up and on the way down. They came all the way down. It's
That
very
was
sad.
that was probably my first lesson was, being 20 years old and thinking the market was always going to do this and or for much longer than it ended up being. But yeah, and then just keeping reinvesting during the downturn was I'm glad I learned that lesson at 2022 instead of, later in life. But Good to be here. Well, thank you again, Chen. And yeah,
Thank
we'll
you.
do it again soon.